Bounty Hunter.
Alrighty, we are back for Game 2 between Sanitys, Eclipse, and TheGreyWolves. Game 1 going the way of Sanitys, Eclipse pretty decisively as they kind of rolled up the lane and brought into the game a surprise Techies pick as their 5th overall pick. And used that in combination with the Wind Ranger, the Treant, and the Spectre to have just a massive global presence and apply constant pressure to towers, and it kept them on the dire side of the map for most of the game, despite being the Radiant team. This time they're going to flip positions with Sanitys Eclipse on the dire side and the TheGreyWolves on the Radiant side. The TheGreyWolves did opt to have the 2nd pick here, allowing Sanitys Eclipse the 1st pick, which they used to pick up the Bounty Hunter. They go back to the same bands from Game 1, getting rid of that Omni Knight, again a hero they don't want to stall out the fight, and the Faceless Void just being a Faceless Void. Let's see. Have a bunch of people in the chat room right now, or in the channel, so I appreciate that very much. I think what I'm going to do, for those of you who are new to the stream, welcome, as always. I am Darmin, come to you live on twitch.tv/DarminCast. I cast a lot of AD2L, I've also cast some JDL, I've cast a couple ESL1 games, I've cast, what was that South America tournament I cast? I forget, but it doesn't matter. It's in the YouTube. I have links to my YouTube videos down below as well. If you're interested in any of those previous casts, go ahead and check those out. As always, I appreciate the subscribes, likes, shares, follows, all that good stuff. I have people asking me to give out all my Arcanas. Unfortunately, I don't have any Arcanas to give away, but what I do have to give away is a bunch of swag given to me by EVGA. It's the company that makes graphics cards, motherboards, power supplies, a couple small cases, and things like that. I personally always go to them for my not my power supplies. I've gotten a couple power supplies from them, but my graphics cards, because at one point they sent me a card with some faulty memory or something, and I had to call customer support, and they didn't treat me like an idiot. They didn't start off with the, "Are you sure your computer's powered on?" And I appreciated it so much, them treating me like I knew what the hell I was doing, that I've kept going back to them and I keep recommending them. So I was talking to them the other day, and they sent me a box of t-shirts, lanyards, stickers, some case badges, all that sort of stuff. So if you are interested in receiving some EVGA swag, I'll probably be giving out like a lanyard, some badges, and some stickers tonight. Go ahead and type !raffle into the chat. Your name will be entered, and I will do a drawing at the end of tonight's game. And I'll send that stuff out to you completely free, so long as you're in the continental United States. If not, we might be able to work something out anyway. So in chat, go ahead and type !raffle. I have it open now.
10 seconds remaining.
And I will do a drawing at the closing of tonight's game. I will try to remember to make that announcement halfway through the game as well, to keep people, to let anyone know who joins halfway through the match, something like that. But enough about the raffle. Let's focus on the game, as some of these picks and bans have already been thrown onto the board. With Sanitys Eclipse, they've complemented their Bounty Hunter pickup with an Enchantress, hero that I've seen banned in some previous matches today in the AD2L tournament, but this time gets slipped through and picked up, with the TheGreyWolves picking up the Vengeful Spirit, which, as I mentioned before, is the most played hero right now. It's the hero I chose as the most played hero in the Shanghai Majors. It was off by like 1 or 2. I forget who was played the most, but Vengeful Spirit was a close second, so that lost me some points there. But since then, I mean, it's no real surprise. Vengeful Spirits continue to be a popular hero. She has a ton of mechanics which make her a great hero throughout, and she can be positioned in any number of ways. She has the stun, good all around, can't hurt at any point. Wave of Terror doing that armor reduction, which is always good, especially on the backs of a right-clicking hero like someone like Abaddon or Abaddon. I call him all sorts of nonsense, and I get corrected every time I say his name. So if you have a specific way you want me to say Abaddon, Abuddin, whatever you want me to call him, go ahead and let me know in the comments or in the chat, and I will try to call him your particular name for the duration of the match. Community choice today, how about that? The Sanitys Eclipse lineup picking up the Disruptor, another hero we've seen tonight if you've been following the stream all day. Disruptor, another one of my personal favorite supports. I like him. I like Witch Doctor a lot as well. There's a few others, but Disruptor, his impact in the game isn't seen on any stats. It's not seen on any scoreboard. It's very intangible. And what he does, in my opinion, better than any other hero in the game is he controls the tempo of a team fight, which is very hard to do. I think Tidehunter is another hero that does that quite well with his Ravage, but that's an ultimate. That is going to be 2 to 3 minutes before he's able to cast that. Whereas Disruptor, his tempo control spells are Glimpse, it's Kinetic Field, it's Static Storm. Pretty much everything he has is kind of that tempo control, and those don't take nearly as long to cool down. So he's able to cast multiple spells throughout the duration of a fight, especially if it's a prolonged fight, which it's probably going to be with an Abaddon in the mix here. He's pretty notorious about dragging fights out, as well as the Tidehunter. So you have some burst damage coming out from the Queen of Pain, but everything else is kind of slow rolling. So if Sanitys Eclipse are able to kind of stretch the fight out, and Disruptor's able to catch an Abaddon inside of a kinetic field or glimpse him back out of position, or Vengeful Spirit makes another swap and gets Templar Assassin into the danger zone or something, Disruptor is going to be able to glimpse Vengeful Spirit back to where he came from. So there's tons of stuff. Story time, oh boy. So there is a 4-minute delay on my stream, so I apologize if I am kind of reacting to your chat in the distant future. It's kind of an 8-minute delay in terms of the chat, because I say something, you hear it in 4 minutes, type out your response, I see it immediately, and then respond, and it takes another 4 minutes for my response to get to you. So it looks like my raffle stuff is just now getting to the group.
5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
So got a bunch of people entering the raffle. So good luck to everyone. Hopefully you get a little grab bag of EVGA goodies here. Looking back to the final picks here, the TheGreyWolves picking up the Slark, and Sanitys Eclipse picking up the Shadow Fiend. So no strength whatsoever on the side of Sanitys Eclipse, instead opting for a bit squishier but higher damage heroes in the form of the Shadow Fiend, Templar Assassin. Bounty Hunter can be a high damage hero depending on how they build them. I don't know if I like the Slark pick into an Enchantress. He's going to have to work around that. He's not going to be able to kill the Bounty Hunter very easy, because he'll be able to invis away. He's not going to be able to kill the Enchantress very easy because of Untouchable. And Templar Assassin, he's going to have to burn through that shield before he's able to do much. So he's going to have his work cut out for him here, but if he's able to focus on the Disruptor first and then the Shadow Fiend, things like that, then he might be able to steal enough agility to make him a powerhouse as he goes into those next fights. Oh, I'm being told can't hear me in client. So let me go ahead and think it's team. Yep, it is team. Throw it on the open mic there. Alright, I'm being told for the remainder of the game, this hero here is going to be called Abadabadon. So, that hero name coming to you from Mapdanda. I have Abadabadon, Abadon,
30 seconds to go.
Abadon, or Yabadabadoo. So a few different pronunciations coming out from the team here. I appreciate them all. But the first one who spoke up for how they wanted me to pronounce the hero was Mapdanda. And so I will be trying to remember to call him Abadabadon. I think that's a good name for him. That makes it equally wrong for everybody. So both teams kind of squaring off here at the top rune, leaving Slark uncontested to secure the bottom rune. And as they say in Pub Dota, that's both runes going the way of the Radiant. GG, might as well call it now. But I have a sneaking suspicion that these teams are going to fight it out anyway. Sorry, I'm getting some messages, so I might lose the map for just a second. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that. Brief delay as I deal with some administrative stuff. Always the most enjoyable part of casting. And so since I missed the opportunity to do so before the laning phase got underway here, I will go through real quickly on both teams and go through introductions. Here in the off lane playing the Tidehunter, you have Not Wolf kind of chasing down the Shadow Fiend and Disruptor. Playing the Quap, aka Queen of Pain, in the mid lane is your Umbernox. And in the bot lane, playing the Vengeful Spirit, you have the Night Wolf. On your Slark, you have Garner. And then on your Abadabadon, boom, count it, you have NPC.
Where are you going?
As they make their way onto the Enchantress, who only has the 1 point into Untouchable, and that's not enough to slow down the aggression from the Wolf Pack here in the bot lane, as they secure first blood for themselves. In the top lane, on the side of Sanitys Eclipse, at a 3rd HP and 0 mana, you have Jet Sujiro playing the Disruptor, Kiki playing the Shadow Fiend. In the mid lane, you have I Like That Panda playing the Templar Assassin, and Yillis playing the Roaming Bounty Hunter, who's going to be able to secure himself a haste rune. We'll see what he does with it. And he immediately shadow walks and heads into this top lane to make it a 3 versus 1 on this Tidehunter, who starts to fall back almost immediately. He does get blocked off, and now there's the body blocks coming out from Yillis, so he's going to head to the side chop. He picks up a Town Portal Scroll, but he doesn't have the mana to cast it, and so it's just the right clicks coming out from Shadow Fiend there to secure the kill for himself. In the bot lane, you have Potom of the Moon, Priestess of the Moon, playing the Enchantress. And just kind of AFKing right here as she opts to last hit and harass with her satire. I'm trying to think of the worst way to pronounce this. Satyr? Toar Mentor? Let's see. So there's some criticism of the safe lane Shadow Fiend. Sorry, I missed that kill in the mid lane as Umbernox and the Night Wolf were able to rotate onto that Templar Assassin, securing the second kill for the Wolf Pack of the game. And then they just head up and stack the Ancients real quick. And Vengeful Spirit takes over the lane to get himself a little bit of experience. Now they're diving onto the Tidehunter, and that final Shadow Race is going to secure them for the kill. So for those critics of the safe lane, Shadow Fiend, so far he's been paying dividends as they've been able to secure multiple kills against that Tidehunter for now. And I don't know that it was the best pick, but of course I was questioning the Techies pick in Game 1 by Sanitys Eclipse as well, and they played that extremely well. So while the draft is certainly important, I'd argue the most important aspect of the game, if you can execute, you can get away with a lot of things. For example, eating your way through dead end inside of the forest and making your way to safety. So excellent awareness and control there by Enchantress to get herself out of harm's way. I think there's other hard carries in the mix who would have been more potent in the end game than Shadow Fiend, but that may not be what Sanitys Eclipse is really looking for here. And Jet actually just ignoring this Tidehunter for now as he pulls the neutral creeps into the creep wave, but the rotating Vengeful Spirit's going to catch him out of place. You get the LOL coming out from him there as he catches him in a stun, and they're able to two-man pile drive the Disruptor. Oh no! The LOL was because of the deny to the neutrals. I was wondering why he apologized. It was because he died to the neutrals. So, luck favoring the Disruptor here, as in the bottom lane? Where did that Bounty Hunter die? Yep, the bottom lane. There's a pick off that I missed. So got a follow coming out from Park Playground. Thank you very much for that. I always appreciate the additional supporters. And make sure you enter the raffle if you have not done so already. It's !raffle. I'll be giving away some EVGA gear at the end of tonight's game. And unfortunately, I'm missing kills all over the map right now, as I Like That Panda gets a counter kill here in the mid lane, and it's immediately complemented by the Queen of Pain, showing some respect there, as TA and Quap stood toe-to-toe, and it's TA who walks away with just a sliver of health, and I miss more fights. I do catch the tail end there of the killing spree as Slark's able to kill the Disruptor and is now on the chase for Enchantress, who does her typical wraparound up through the dead end maneuver. But it's 2-on-2 here in the bottom lane.
Top tower is under attack.
Umbernox returning to the lane, square off against I Like That Panda, but you have the Disruptor teleporting in, is going to get the Thunder Strike off instead of the Glimpse, just as the Quap blinks away. Priestess of the Moon, hiding out behind her tower here, as Abadabadon pushes forward. Gotta heal up on the Shadow Fiend as he recovers, and Tidehunter kind of pulling the creep wave. Pings coming out from the Wolfpack as they're able to spot out the Templar Assassin, playing a bit aggressive here, and the Quap blinks ahead. The dust is out. It connects onto the Templar Assassin, and so they're going to chase her down for a little bit, but Gillis is in position, ready to go, as the Tidehunter teleports to the lane as well, and we'll see if they use these rotations to push the tower, but it looks like they just back off. So the Templar Assassin playing a little aggressive, chasing after the Queen of Pain. There's no punishment, there's no reciprocal kill or anything like that coming out from the Wolfpack. And that does allow both Jet and Kiki in this top lane to apply pressure to this tier 1 tower. But in the bottom, it's Abaddon and Slark going up against the Yillis, who's now in the bottom lane. Once again, Yillis is in every lane at once, it seems like. And Tidehunter rotating in, lands a 3-hero Ravage, and then the fight breaks out underneath the Dire Tower. They're able to secure 2 kills, starting off with the Bounty Hunter and the Enchantress. And now the glimpse back on the Abaddon as Slark continues to wreck kids behind the enemy lines there. Starting with the first 2 and then heading on to the Disruptor on the last place. They're jumping through the Templar Assassin as the kill is stolen by the stun on Vengeful Spirit. Bounty Hunter teleporting into the lane as the rest of his allies are looking to join him here, and he's going to chase down the Vengeful Spirit, who's not going to be able to teleport out anytime soon, and he's just so slow. The Janata, the Orb of Venom, the Enchant from Enchantress. He's just tiptoeing away from danger as fast as he could there. So, at the end of the day, that fight recap is not going to show the whole story, but what will is the net worth chart there. You can see it started out with a few kills in favor of Wolfpack, and then on the tail end there, Sanitys Eclipse were able to pretty much negate what they were able to accomplish and bring the chart back down to a 0. Speaking of charts, let's bring up, jump over to the net worth here. As Queen of Pain gets glimpsed back underneath the tier 1 tower again, and drops. Dust is out on Yillis, so he will likely fall here to one more right click as the entire fight now chases down into the river. The Gush is out from the Tidehunter. That'll get him the kill. If it wasn't that, it was going to go to Abaddon as a pathetic shield popped. I'm just going to see how much of his hero I can screw up. Slark picking off the Disruptor for the second time in the past, I don't know, 60 seconds or so, and now pounces forward and connects onto the Templar Assassin. I don't think they have dust, but they don't need it, as they're able to kill her before she's able to escape. Enchantress also securing a kill for herself against the Vengeful Spirit, but don't know that that's going to be worth it. And now it's Slark jumping uphill. He's going to get a last-second shield, and he does get tracked at the last second and then blown up. Both teams playing hyper-aggressive here and just walking along the razor's edge. The corpse of Queen of Pain gets glimpsed back once again. Now Abaddon, last man standing on the enemy's soil, is going to just kind of stand his ground and punch Bounty Hunter in the face once or twice. His ultimate starts to roll, and of course everyone on Sanitys Eclipse knows what's up, and they back off immediately. And that's a triple kill going the way of Shadow Fiend. So violence all around, and you can see there it was eventually a full 5-man wipe on the side of Wolfpack as they dove behind that tier 2 tower, at times into the tier 3 tower range. Just looking to play hyper aggressive and get as many kills as possible, just kind of foregoing that objective gaming that you know, might wind up costing you if you don't get those towers early. Checking that net worth, you can see there, as we pause due to a disconnect from Vengeful Spirit. It was just like the previous fight, where it started off very strong in favor of the Wolfpack, with 3-4 kills going the way of the Wolfpack, and they just kind of hung out and lingered a little bit too long, especially so far away from your base. I mean, everyone's got a relatively short cooldown right now because we're only 12 minutes into the game. What's everyone's level? Let's take a look here. Yeah, everyone's 6 to 9. So we're not even into double-digit levels here on anyone yet. So the spawn timers aren't that long, and so when you have a long, drawn-out fight like that, especially between the still standing tier 2 tower and the tier 3 tower of Sanitys Eclipse, as soon as they spawn, they're going to be able to pick up a TP scroll and either cut you off as you retreat, which was the case a couple of times there, or teleport to that tier 3 tower in their base and be right in the midst of the fight. Whereas the Wolfpack, if they respawn, The closest they're going to get is the tier 1 tower in the mid lane. They have to waddle all the way back up there to get back into the fight, and that's just not going to happen before the fight is completely over. I do want to give a shout out to BangerZ24. Appreciate the follow. Thank you very much. I see you also jumped into the raffle, so please do so. If you're just joining the channel now, type !raffle. I'll be doing a small giveaway today of, like I said, lanyard, some stickers, some badges, just a couple small things to start with. I have t-shirts and some larger items that I'll be giving away later on in the season. So make sure you keep coming back to the channel. I'll keep giving away stuff. Depending on how things go, I might have some graphics cards to give away later on as well. Later on in the season, not later on tonight. So don't get your hopes up too much if you're just tuning in for today's game. Something about... Damn it, Mike. Oh, he said my mic isn't working. Alright. Just some friendly banter between two teams here. As they say they're good to go, and then they immediately pause it. That's pretty good. The trolley unpause. If you see tactical pauses, call 0800 Merlini. I thought those were the puppy pauses. Puppy's the tactical pause. So I'm getting some inside the draft rumors here. From some of my Twitch chat followers saying that for Sanitys Eclipse, it's drafted by Jet, and he picks the heroes, and there's no discussion and no input from the team. Jet picks the heroes he wants to pick, and everyone just plays accordingly, and they're expected to execute. So, not sure if that's the case. That's the rumor. And, hey, I'm not above spreading rumors. And this is that control I was talking about. So you see Disruptor getting into position and bringing Tide back into the fight here. Vengeful Spirit's trying to save his allies, going to swap himself out. It winds up costing him his life, and the Tide Hunter still goes down. So it just controls the tempo of the fight. You bring Tide Hunter back, he ravages, which just stalls the fight out even more. Vengeful Spirit sees an ally in danger, goes and throws her life away, and what was easy escape for Wolfpack turned into not just the Tide Hunter, but the Tide Hunter plus VS plus I think both heroes were tracked, so a bunch of gold heading into the pockets of Sanitys Eclipse there, as they take, I think, their first lead of the game, as they are now up 14-13 and start applying pressure. And they start applying pressure to this middle tier 1 tower. They do spot out the Abaddon here in the neutral camps, and they ping him out. And there you go, controlling the tempo of the fight again. Teleporting into the tier 1 tower is Tide Hunter, who doesn't have his Ravage, obviously, but he still gets glimpsed back to the fountain anyway. Disruptor landing a 4-hero kinetic field, stalling out the aggression of Wolfpack. As Priestess of the Moon tries to body block the pouncing Slark, and she's able to do so, which buys Templar Assassin a few seconds. But Abaddon securing the kill there with the Mist Coil, and it also winds up costing the Enchantress her life. Meanwhile, Tide's had time to waddle his way back into the middle lane after the TP glimpse into that middle tier 1 tower. And now Bounty Hunter's doing Bounty Hunter things. And he's actually going to try to go onto the Slark here. He gets the track off on him before he's able to activate the Shadow Blade. He's going to Dark Pact off the track and finally get back to the Shadow Dance regen, which, in my opinion, is just broken.
The Radiant's bottom tower is fallen.
You can see he just steps away for a second and he's back up to full. The fact that it works for both the Shadow Blade plus his ult is too much. It's too much. I think that regen should like maybe be a little bit higher, but only while your ult's active or something. I don't know. I've never been a big fan of Slark. I think I'm in the same boat as, I think it's LD. I know he's a Slark hater, or one of those casters is. Wolfpack are being stalked here by Yillis, and he's going to get the track up on Abadabadon, who's going to pop his borrowed time, and now Tidehunter getting in position. He does have his ult again. It's going to connect on 3. Kiki popping BKB standing inside of this static field, and then chasing heroes down despite only having 20 HP. Queen of Pain blinking forward into an odd position there into the neutral camp, is going to shoot over the tree line and still connects, while Tide Disruptor are dueling it out over a couple wards here. Meanwhile, a little bit further up, you have Vengeful Spirit being chased out by the Bounty Hunter, the misblinking Templar Assassin, and the Enchantress. And now she's going to turn her attention to the Tidehunter. And it's a 3-for-3 trade until this hero falls, and that's going to tip the scales slightly in favor of Sanitys Eclipse, making it a 4-for-3 trade. So that fight kind of all over the board. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's those prolonged fights that I kind of expected from both sides. You have Disruptor controlling the tempo for Sanitys Eclipse, and you have Tidehunter controlling it for Wolfpack, and to a certain extent, Vengeful Spirit as well, with her swaps and stuns. And Borrowed Time stalls the fight out as well. So it's the team fights are going to be going the distance here, and you can see that 4-for-3 trade included 4 tracks coming out from Bounty Hunter. So I don't know if that was 4 tracks across all 4 targets, or if he was doubling up there from time to time. But either way, it's nearly a 2,000 for 1,000 gold advantage for Sanitys Eclipse, despite being pretty equal in terms of kill deaths. Bounty Hunter chasing down the Queen of Pain, trying to get that last bit of damage off. Meanwhile, Abadabadon's going to spot him out with some smoke. He is able to see him here, and he's chasing after him, so it's a 3-hero chase. But Tidehunter's going to get distracted by the Enchantress pings coming out from the Shadow Fiend there. Onto the Bounty Hunter, and the Wolfpack giving up the chase here, as this game is much closer than game 1, but just as violent, as we are 19 minutes into the game, and both teams averaging right around a kill a minute. So, for those of you mathematicians at home, that's about a kill every 30 seconds somewhere on the board. So, these are the games that are both very exciting and very difficult as a caster, since I'm trying to sit here and talk for the entire duration of the game and catch every kill that's going on everywhere in the map every 30 seconds. Yes, Abadabadon. For those of you just joining the stream who aren't aware of why I'm calling it that, I was saying during the draft that I mispronounce this hero's name every time and I always get crap about it. So I opened it up to a poll earlier on. Asked the Twitch chat what they wanted me to call this hero for the duration of the game. And I forget the guy's name. I want to give him credit for it. It was Mapdanda. Mapdanda was the first to respond, saying I should call him Abadabadon. So, I've been trying to stick to that. Inject that into the vocabulary.
Gold for me.
The bounty rune being picked up by the Tidehunter is not going to be spotted out by Sanitys Eclipse. But Sanitys Eclipse must smell something, because they have all backed behind the tower, and they don't see anything going on. Oh, did they smoke right underneath the trap there? I don't think they did. But anyway, it's going to be a wasted smoke on the side of Wolfpack, as Sanitys Eclipse are able to hide behind the tier 1 tower for the duration now. Wolfpack are kind of split up. They have 2 heroes in the mid here, and if Sanitys Eclipse were to go on them now, they might be able to drop them before reinforcements arrive, but with the Slark and Abadabba rolling up, it's now 4-on-4. Kiki taunting with the ult here, getting ready for a Priestess of the Moon. Is going to be caught by the Slark, and now the ult is rolling as Kiki pops BKB and jumps into the fray here. He's going to be fine, just stands on his own 2 feet despite the Ravage there. Borrowed time going off on Abadabba, but Slark is starting to snowball here. He's going to be dropped by the Templar Assassin as Wolfpack heads into the high ground. So far a 2-for-2 trade. I like that Panda being beaten up here as she tries to drop Tidehunter, but it's just not going to be there as the shield is keeping Tidehunter safe. And it's a 4-for-2 trade. 2,000 gold the way of Wolfpack, and Disruptor is going to get himself to the woods and teleport back home to safety. And now with 3 heroes still alive, albeit a little bit damaged after that fight, they're going to push forward onto this tier 2 tower.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's structures are fortified. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
I apologize, I'm not really able to keep up with Twitch chat right now. You guys are just chatting my ear off, so I appreciate it. If you are curious about how to sign up for AD2L tournaments and stuff like that, follow up with me after the game, and I can give you some tips and tricks and contacts and pointers and all that stuff. Several of the other players from AD2L are in chat right now, so I can see them helping you there. But if you have any other questions and you want to hit me up directly after the game, I will be around. So a little difficult to do both that and cast at the same time, though. So. Yillis continuing to hunt down the Slark here, is going to hit him with a toss, and there's the glimpse into the kinetic field, into the static storm, and it's going to burn the duration of this Shadow Dance. He is going to leap away, but unfortunately there's an impetus on its way, and it winds up just cutting through the Slark, giving Priestess of the Moon a double kill. And with just 2 heroes down, but the track mechanic coming out, you can see that's nearly a 3k swing in favor of Sanitys Eclipse off of just 2 heroes, the Slark and the Tidehunter. Admittedly, 2 of their core heroes, but they didn't give away like a dominating streak or anything like that. They were just good old-fashioned kills. And off the back of that, Sanitys Eclipse have enough space to take Roshan.
The Dire's top tower is under attack.
Pings coming out all over the map on both. Everyone's kind of just pinging out this area over here, so both teams are aware that there's a standoff occurring here, so we'll likely see a big team fight here as soon as someone missteps. You have Yillis deep behind enemy lines and even pulling some aggression from the tower. The swap onto the Templar Assassin, but no damage is done, so she's going to be able to blink away to safety. And the invisible Slark runs into the invisible Bounty Hunter, but decides not to engage, and instead they group up and are heading towards mid lane. Not quite sure what the Tidehunter was drawing out there, but he's pinging out mid like maybe that's where he wants to go, but it's Sanitys Eclipse pushing into the bottom lane that I think they'll have to deal with. Do they have smoke? I don't think they have smoke. Yeah, so Sanitys Eclipse just grouping up. They have the Aegis, or Aegis, however you want me to mispronounce that one. And they're going to be pushing into the bottom tier 2 tower here, with the Templar Assassin leading the charge here, knowing if she goes down, all is well, and she'll be able to recover. Everyone has their ultimate up and ready to go. So this could be a violent bloodbath as soon as one team decides to engage. while everything's going on here, Bounty Hunter's throwing out those tracks, trying to keep vision up as much as he can. He's got track up on 3 right now, and so the Wolfpack decide to just let this tower fall and retreat back to the safety of their high ground. Meanwhile, Queen of Pain, TP scroll in hand, rotates into the middle lane here, but TA is already beaten her to the middle lane and is ready to blink forward, hit her with a crit, and that's not there. So Queen of Pain blinks to the high ground herself and teleports out, but at the tail end of that teleport, there's the glimpse, and now she's going to be in a dangerous position as she's going to be surrounded by Sanitys Eclipse heroes, and the very tail end of that glimpse caught her as she teleported back to base and wound up bringing her all the way back to the enemy forest. So unfortunate timing for the Disruptor arrival. And good job on the Templar Assassin for keeping vision up long enough for Disruptor to get that spell off. Because with no vision, there's no spell. With no spell, there's no kill there. Aegis is going to be reclaimed in 2 minutes, and you can see Sanitys Eclipse continuing to play aggressively here because of it. So they're going to look to take this tier 2 tower in the top lane. Meanwhile, Wolfpack are a bit spread out. They're farming up the jungle a little bit. They have a couple heroes pushing the tier 1 tower in the bot lane. I don't think they're even going to rotate back to try to defend this. If they do, it'll be a bit too late and a bit too dangerous. And with Disruptor there, you might just get glimpsed back to wherever the hell you came from. Hey, Jesus! I'll call it a Jesus. I think that's a good name for it. And now you got the push for push going on as Tide and Slark continue to push. Tide sticking around and pushing the tier 2 tower, but Sanitys Eclipse pushing into the high ground. Queen of Pain throwing out her ultimate, but it doesn't hurt anybody. Templar Assassin still has some charges on his shield there, so he's good to go. NPC taking care of some rune business on the low ground there, while his allies take care of some traps on the high ground. Down to 165 HP on the tower, and it's going to eventually fall here to the Shadow Fiend as his team looks to pick off the ranged racks, and it's going to be Vengeful Spirit sacrificing herself due to her ally getting caught in a glimpse. And now it's 2 versus 5, as you can see Abaddon and the Slark fighting into the whole lineup of Sanitys Eclipse. Tidehunter in position here. He does not have his ult for 45 seconds, so the most he can do is kind of right click and be a sponge. And they're pretty much ignoring him for now as they focus down the Slark, and they are able to bring him down. The Jesus is reclaimed here, so Templar Assassin will not have a second life, but did benefit from a little bit of regen there. And buybacks coming out from the Slark as he rotates up. He's able to get a kill on the Disruptor, and for now force Sanitys Eclipse out of the base. They're able to do about half damage to the ranged racks, half damage to the melee racks, and secure the tier 3 tower with 3 deaths and a buyback coming out from Wolfpack, 2 deaths and an Aegis claimed on Sanitys Eclipse. But overall, again, it's a little bit in favor of Sanitys Eclipse, and for the first time so far this game in the 30-minute mark, you can see we're starting to approach the 10k mark for one team or another. In this case, it's Sanitys Eclipse starting to benefit from these even exchanges because of the track gold from Bounty Hunter, who's level 13, so he's only got 2 points into track as he levels up and gets that level 3 track money in his pocket and in his allies' pocket. I think that curve is going to continue to escalate, and there it is with the updated graph. They just barely breached the 10k mark, and they might have thrown it back underneath in the last seconds.
Ought to take care of this fin, right?
Yep. So for those of you asking, I will be available in Twitch chat after the game. So, where we'll also be doing the giveaway right at the Victor's screen. For those of you joining the game midway through and you want to participate in the raffle, it's !raffle, and get yourself in the list for some EVGA giveaways. Probably going to be some lanyards, stickers, badges, that sort of stuff. So, no Arcanas and no graphics cards in today's giveaway. So, sorry about that. Sorry, not sorry. I'll give you a Kappa card. That's almost as good as a graphics card, right? And now Sanitys Eclipse setting up for the prolonged siege here. You can tell anytime a team gets behind this high ground ridge, they're just waiting for the creep wave to splash into the tower over and over. But Wolfpack might be overextended here as they come up to defend the tier 2 tower. And Abadabba just charging through, Yillis charging through bottom of the moon, is going to pop his borrowed time, so his ult is going to be down for now. And the Nightwolf way overextended there as a lonely support is going to fall to I Like That Panda. And she's going to be down for 35 seconds, no buyback. The Aghanim Scepter up on Tidehunter, so he has the AoE gush mechanic, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to stop the uphill aggression here from Sanitys Eclipse. Everyone dumping their damage onto the Shadow Fiend to start with. He's able to get his first ult off. Slark's chasing after him, desperate to get the kill here, and he's not going to secure it until Queen of Pain blinks forward and tosses out a Sonic Wave of her own, and it does get the kill, but by that point the Slark was already dead. And now trying to clean up the supports. I Like That Panda picking off the Tidehunter, Queen of Pain picking off the Disruptor, and Enchantress is the last to fall here. I Like That Panda's looking to do the classic maneuver of teleporting in the enemy base, but Swap is off cooldown because Vengeful Spirit was not able to use it before her previous death, so she's going to get swapped pretty much in place, and that's going to break the teleport home, and it's a full team wipe from Sanitys Eclipse, and they're only able to take what they did the previous engagement, which is 2 kills and a buyback. I guess I got 3 kills and a buyback last time, but 2 kills and a buyback, so they're getting less for more heroes at this point, and a big swing, a 4,000 gold swing in favor of Wolfpack as they're able to successfully defend their high ground. Sanitys Eclipse have pushed up twice now. They've been able to take some tier 3 towers, but they haven't been able to do much to the barracks. And with that opening, Wolfpack push forward into the middle lane. They're able to secure a tier 2 tower for themselves, and this game continues to be a nail-biter at the 34-minute mark. Both teams still averaging pretty close to a kill a minute, with Sanitys Eclipse having the slight edge at 31 to 30. Taking a look at the net worth chart after that big swing, you can see where Sanitys Eclipse were able to breach that 10k mark, but after a poor push into the high ground without the Aegis this time, they threw most of that back towards Wolfpack, and they're sitting at just 6k 35 minutes into the game. They're pinging out the Roche Pit, and he's not going to be there quite yet, but he'll be there pretty soon. That was an ultimate. I agree. Not sure which ultimate you're referencing, or if I misquoted something as a basic skill instead of an ultimate. But yes, I agree. There were many ultimates cast in that previous engagement. And for now, both teams slow down the pace for 30 seconds. Anytime it goes 30 to 45 seconds without a kill, you know that the teams are just taking a little breather and relaxing. But I think that's only going to be for another 45 seconds here as Sanitys Eclipse group up. And I think they know they're on a bit of a timer here, and they want to take a set of wrecks. So they're securing their entrance here. They're picking off some of the wards that they come across. Vengeful Spirit dropping some wards to catch the upcoming aggression here. I don't know if they have any more sentries. They do on the Disruptor, but he's not going to throw that down just yet. Have a sentry ward deep in the enemy base here, and Queen of Pain blinking forward is going to run into a bounty hunter and more, and she has to expend her BKB and retreat back to base, so she's going to be out of the fight for at least 15-20 seconds here as Abadabba and Slark get in position, and it's Invis versus Invis here as Slark and Bounty Hunter dance around one another. Tracks get tossed on to the Vengeful Spirit, and Sanitys Eclipse kind of retreat back to the slow siege position. Queen of Pain has since come back into the fight here. You can see the tip of that gush making its way to Bounty Hunter, hitting him with just the tip. I'll leave that linger for you guys. Just the tip. Now Sanitys Eclipse back off, and they might be looking to do Roche before re-engaging uphill. Is this a smoke? Yep, this one's a smoke. It's hard to tell when there's like 3 heroes invis on the side of Wolfpack because they have so many invis mechanics. Or, I guess not directly on their team, but they have the Slark who can invis. There's Bounty Hunter can invis on Sanitys Eclipse, and Bounty Hunter is actually going to break the smoke as the team runs forward here, and now a big fight breaks out as everyone busts out their BKBs, and the fight is on. Vengeful Spirit first to die. The Ravage just missing the Shadow Fiend, so he's going to be able to escape with just a little bit of HP, but everyone else on the side of Sanitys Eclipse is going to fall here as the Gush is going to finish off the Templar Assassin, and the Shadow Fiend just had to run there. He turned to look like he was going to re-engage and try to help out his allies, but the Ravage was there. It locked down the entire Sanitys Eclipse team after their BKBs had fallen off, and now it's just a huge opening. There's 30 seconds for Wolfpack to push into the high ground. And this Tidehunter's definitely making use of this Aegis, throwing gushes out non-stop, and it's connecting with multiple heroes. So it doesn't look like a ton, but that armor reduction and the damage start to stack when he's able to cast it every 7 seconds. And you just whittle him away and you cut through 4 heroes. That's 1,000 damage nuke you're throwing out on top of all the armor. You can see even there, it's connecting to 2. And for the first time, Wolfpack are able to push into Sanitys Eclipse high ground, and they take their first tier 3 tower of the series here. But making him pay for the aggression, Disruptor's going to catch him with a glimpse, and they're trying to knock down this Tidehunter who's just too tanky. And Queen of Pain jumping forward here is able to kill the Disruptor first, pops the BKB, tries to blink to safety, and I don't think it's going to be there. Oh, she has another blink, so she is going to be able to get away as the rest of Wolfpack surround the Templar Assassin, who has reinforcements coming up. And now it's the very slow Abaddon, who's going to be whittled away by these 4 heroes. And Tidehunter, all he can do is sit right next to him and watch him die before blinking to safety and then force staffing himself even further away. Take a quick look at the net worth chart, and you can see it is back to square one as Wolfpack take a slight advantage for themselves here in terms of the kills at 35 to 33. And anytime you're sitting equal to a team 40 minutes into the game and that opposing team has a bounty hunter, in terms of net worth, that means in any other game you would be ahead. But that track goal just, especially since all of these fights are occurring in giant clusters and giant team fights. There's just so many people in range of that track goal. Alright, now it looks to be Sanity's Eclipse turn to push into the high ground. They've been unsuccessful with their past 2 to 3 team fights, so they need to be very careful about their positioning. Shadow Fiend now has the Jesus, as it was named in Twitch chat. And you can see how I have to zoom the map out completely just to show you the entire arc of both teams here, as they were spread out entirely. And Wolfpack positioning themselves with the Tidehunter and Abaddon in the front lines. Abba keeping that shield rolling, and Tidehunter is just a shield of his own with the Kraken Shell. And instead, Sanity's Eclipse pushing the wave in the middle and then heading to the bottom lane. They're trying to chip away the ranged Drax. The Blink Force-Staff forward from the Tidehunter is going to start the fight out, and they drop the Disruptor. He's able to get the static field off. Kiki getting an ult off of his own is going to be the next to fall. And now it's Wolfpack continuing to chase Sanity's Eclipse down. They're able to finish off the Enchantress. And on the back end here, Kiki is able to get a kill against the Queen of Pain. And Wolf is chasing down Gillis, and the Templar Assassin is going to kind of give up the fight on the Bounty Hunter for the Templar Assassin. And Gillis turns around and goes, okay, if you won't chase me, I'll chase you. And winds up getting a kill on the Bounty Hunter. The swap and the stun coming out from Vengeful Spirit is going to be there. She walks up, gets in dust range, and now some right clicks are going to be just enough to bring down the Bounty Hunter before he's able to teleport back to safety. And that is another full team wipe for Sanity's Eclipse, and Wolfpack just losing 2. And you can see no real structural damage done to the towers either. So 10,000 damage done on the side of Wolfpack versus the 7,000 of Sanity's Eclipse, and 4 tracks, but none of them really paying dividends. As both teams continue to burn through those BKB charges, and well, let me see where those BKBs are at. Yeah, Slark, Quap, Shadow Fiend, and Templar Assassin. I can't imagine those have much time left on any of them, because they've been burning them like crazy. 5 seconds there, 5 seconds there, 8 seconds on the Slark, so he's going to be probably the highest of them all. And yep, Queen of Pain has one more second charge left. So she's sitting on 6 seconds on hers. And Wolfpack starting to take their first real lead of the game. You can see early on about the 11-12 minute mark they were able to get about 1,000 gold lead themselves. Gave away 10,000 to Sanity's Eclipse. Pulled it back in their favor against the odds of a track, and now they're sitting at about 2k in their favor. But more importantly, it feels like they have control of the tempo of this game. They're able to defend whenever they want to defend. And once they get these team wipes, they're usually able to get something out of it. This time not so much. They just kind of spread out, went back to farming. But in the previous one, they were able to secure the tier 3 bot. The one before that, they were able to secure the tier 2 mid, and I think maybe even the tier 1 mid? I forget if that tower was still up or not, but definitely the tier 2 mid. Track coming out onto the Vengeful Spirit, and TA blinking forward is going to essentially 2-shot her down. So let's see what just that Vengeful Spirit, the lowest net worth on the side of Wolfpack, that's worth 1,500 gold, essentially, in favor of Sanity's Eclipse for the lowest net worth target on Wolfpack. That's because Track is now level 3. And they're almost able to pick off a Queen of Pain. And I think if that were to occur, Sanity's Eclipse might have been able to push high ground there fairly easy. Because you have Slark, who's busy in the dire jungle for now. And I think that's a good move on his part because he does have that TP scroll he can get back whenever he wants to. He has plenty of escape mechanics between the Silver Edge and his Shadow Dance and the TP scroll and the BKB. So he should be good to go. And he actually uses his aggression to jump forward and kill the Dire Courier, which says it had 0 items on it. So it may have just been returning back to base from dropping something off, but still, that will slow the aggression of Sanitys Eclipse down a little bit. Still quite a bit of time here on the Roshan. And this may be where the crowd's criticism of the Shadow Fiend picked comes into effect. He's definitely been potent throughout this game, but can he carry as hard as a PA? Can he carry as hard as a Sven, as a Spectre, as an Anti-Mage, as a Phantom Lancer? Probably not. So we'll see what he picks up with this Reaver, whether it's going to be a Heart or a Satanic. And then he's going to be pretty much 6-slotted. I don't know what he would look to replace. Maybe the Sanj and Yasha. Maybe the BKB, since it's down to 5-second charges now. That's not doing him a ton of good in these fights. He's able to dodge maybe a Sonic Wave, maybe a Ravage. But beyond that, it's not giving him, and he does pick up the helm with the Dominator, so it does look like it's going to be a Satanic. Looking across the board at everyone's items here, Vengeful Spirit, rocking the Ether Lens, and still rocking those brown boots. Who needs better boots when you have an Ether Lens? That extends your range. Slark sitting on some classic Slark items. He's got the Silver Edge. He's got the Eye of Scotty, which makes him just relatively tanky for an agility here. You can see him sitting on 27, 28k HP. Sitting on level 22. Tide Hunter is all about just positioning right now. He's got the Blink Dagger. He's got the Force Staff. He's got the Axe to throw those gushes in a cone in front of him. And he's now working towards Refresher, as he does have the first Perseverance. Sanitys Eclipse looking to split push here. They have Shadow Fiend pushing the top, and Templar Assassin and Disruptor pushing the bot. Shadow Fiend looks to make his escape. He blinks forward. He is going to blink right past the Slark, who's trying to chase him down, but calls it off. King's coming out. So now Sanitys Eclipse know that they've reacted to the Shadow Fiend in the top lane. And it's Tide who's going to take up defensive positions in the bot. I missed where Slark was able to pick off the Priestess of the Moon Enchantress. That name is so freaking confusing. I should probably just call her Enchantress or Potom. But if I call her Potom, that's going to be just as confusing. Because there's no Potom in the game. But you guys know who I'm talking about. The Enchantress. Who's named Potom of the Moon. Grabbing a quick drink there, as this kill-a-minute game has left me a bit parched. 50 minutes into the match here in Game 2 between Sanitys Eclipse and Wolfpack. As Wolfpack smoke up and head towards the Roche Pit Bounty Hunter, throwing a track out onto the Slark, who gets glimpsed back, but he pops his BKB, and so it's not going to be there. So Sanitys Eclipse continuing to roach here, but the Blink Ravage, double Ravage Tide is going to be on point there, and it wrecks through the Disruptor, whose spells were on cooldown anyway. So you have a fight breaking out up by the Roche Pit here as Templar Assassin falls, and then the bottom, it's Enchantress and Shadow Fiend fighting off the Slark for now, almost killing the Tide. But Tide recovers, Slark recovers, and now they're back in the fight, chasing down the Bounty Hunter. And NPC's going to finish off the Enchantress. It's actually Queen of Pain who's able to get the killing blow there. And now Kiki and Yillis, the last two standing, are going to be smoked. The Sonic Wave slightly off the mark. And Bounty Hunter is going to remain in the fight as Shadow Fiend falls. And that's another team fight going the way of Wolfpack. I think that's like the 4th or 5th team fight in a row going in favor of Wolfpack now. They're not really able to push high ground very well. As you can see, 52 minutes into the game, they've only been able to take a single tier 3 tower themselves. But with this team wipe and only 2 buybacks available, they're either going to force these buybacks or take a lane of racks. They force the first buyback here in the bot lane. You have Bounty Hunter versus VS, and it's the Bounty Hunter who comes out on top. And even with the buyback from Shadow Fiend, they're able to clean up the 2 towers and just kind of walk away. There's no answer for him here. Yillis chasing after him. I don't know how he was revealed. There don't see smoke or a gem, but he was caught out. Oh, he was caught out killing the Tide as he retreated, I think.
Defunct forever, renewing.
No? I don't know. But they saw him and they killed him very quickly. So that is the first set of racks this game, and it's actually in favor of Wolfpack. Let's take a look at the net worth chart. You can see they gave away their 2K lead after a couple small skirmishes here and there, a couple pickoffs. I think Quap was picked off, Vengeful was picked off a couple times. But now they have 4K plus, which is the strongest lead they've held in either game so far. And they're going to look to take that advantage and compound it with a Roshan. Not just a Roshan, but a cheese Roshan, as this is Roshan number 3. Sanitys Eclipse have to be aware that this is going on. Jet walking forward, he's going to toss down a kinetic field, maybe? He is going to toss down 3 or 4 wards. The Templar Assassin was able to blink in and steal the cheese. So Slark picked up the Aegis, but I like that Panda picked up the cheese. So the double Ravage is out. They are going to kill Yillis, maybe? But Templar Assassin just right-clicking heroes down like crazy in the backlines here, and it's going to pop that Aegis. So Kiki stepping forward here, winding up the ult, letting it go just as Slark respawns, and instead they focus their damage on the Abadabadon, and they slow him down till and down he goes. So an excellent recovery for Sanitys Eclipse. They're able to steal the cheese, deprive Wolfpack of the Aegis, pick off the Tide Hunter, pick off the Abadabadon, and unfortunately with the one set of racks down, they're forced to retreat back to their base to play some defense, play some house cleaning, and clean up their base. But I'd say that's the first definitive team win they've had for a while. They ate both of Tide Hunter's ultimates there and were able to persevere through. So this game continues to be a nail-biter 55 minutes in as these two teams slug it out. Game 1 was a pretty decisive win for Sanitys Eclipse. So I'll be honest, I came into Game 2 thinking, oh, Sanitys Eclipse are probably just playing on a higher level today. So they'll probably come into Game 2 and do what they just did. But I don't know if it's a slightly less comfortable draft or if Wolfpack are playing to their strengths a little bit more here in Game 2, or if Wolfpack just went out and drank their Mountain Dew or ate their spinach if they're Popeye fans, and are coming back into Game 2 here saying, you know what, Game 1 was a fluke, we're going to take it to the house here in Game 2, and that's exactly what they've done. They've been able to defend their base aggressively. Every time Sanitys Eclipse have pushed forward, the creep waves haven't been able to do much chip damage since the Sanitys Eclipse heroes were in there. You can see a little damage done to that melee racks, probably off the back of one of those Shadow Fiend split pushes. And it looks like they're going back to the well there with the split push strategy. I like that Panda hanging out in this bottom lane and the top lane. Yillis and way in the back, Kiki, who's going to teleport 500 feet for some reason and clear up the wave. And then they push onto the high ground here and force the rotations back as Yillis dives onto Vengeful Spirit, and Yillis teleporting out right inside the enemy base, pulling the Cool Kid maneuver as Kiki tries to retreat. He doesn't have his boots of travel. He's going to BKB ult into the Slark and Tide, but the chip damage is here, and he's surrounded by those two plus the Queen of Pain now, who's going to teleport back. In the bottom lane, Templar Assassins just kind of chipping away at these towers, was able to take the ranged racks, securing the first racks of the game for them. But the rest of the team's closing the gap here as they look to surround here. Vengeful throwing out some dust and keeping vision up. So 3 heroes dead on the side of Sanitys Eclipse. You had the Enchantress, the Shadow Fiend, and the Templar Assassin, all in exchange for this one ranged Rax in the bottom lane. They were able to do some chip damage again to that melee tower, not so much to the ranged tower. And then Shadow Fiend, of course, had to retreat back, which you never want to do. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Meanwhile, Wolfpack are pushing forward in the middle lane here, led by the Slark and the Abaddon. They take their second tier 3 tower of the game and are splitting their damage between the ranged racks and the melee racks. They drop the ranged first. NPC pops his borrowed time, and then they just look to retreat. They wrecked the racks. There's nothing Sanitys Eclipse could do about it. Shadow Fiend was out of the game, and they slow Abaddon down until they're able to put him in his grave permanently. Track up on Queen of Pain. She's going to be forced to blink back to the base, and Sanitys Eclipse, if they weren't on a timer before, they certainly are now. They have 2 lanes of racks down. They are 1 team fight away from losing this game. They need to get a lane or 2 of racks of their own in order to balance out this equilibrium. They don't have the strongest heroes for taking care of creep waves. You have Shadow Fiend, who can kind of nuke him down with the Shadow Race, but you can see here he's even struggling with it. So he's able to tank it, but as a result, this team fight's going to be in favor of Wolfpack. It's going to be a 5 versus 4 because someone has to stick back and defend the base. Do we have a gem up anywhere on the map here? Nope, I missed that kill as Slark jumps forward and finds the Disruptor. And now the chase is on. They've spotted out Yillis. They're going to be able to pick him off. He's hexed in position. A couple more right clicks. Gush and a Dark Pact that's going to finish him off as Tide Hunter secures that kill for himself. And now Wolf looks to just head down the middle lane here by the looks of things. There's pings coming out as a very
It's took barracks are under
oddly
attack.
positioned cart decides to backdoor the ranged barracks top. And Wolfpack are looking to head through the middle lane into the top, I presume? Or are they just going mid to win? There's no buyback up on the Bounty Hunter or the Disruptor. And so now it's Vengeful Spirit, Queen of Pain, and the Tide Hunter pushing forward into Sanitys Eclipse's last remaining barracks. They're not the strongest siegers in the game, but you might not need the strongest, you might just need the most reliable. And they're able to take the melee set of racks, and now they're just chipping down the ranged racks. They don't even care if they lose this quap here, and they're not even going to. So that is mega creeps, as in the bottom lane here, Sanitys Eclipse are looking to YOLO push into the enemy base, but with the rotations back, Wolfpack are there to defend in force, and GG is eventually called by Jet and the Sanitys Eclipse squad. So this series goes 1-1. With Game 1 going definitively in favor of Sanitys Eclipse, and Wolfpack taking Game 2 in an hour-long slugfest, as both teams putting up a combined 94 kills. You can see the Slark putting up an impressive number of stats himself, 20 kills, 21 assists, and second highest gold per minute in the game, second to just the Shadow Fiend, who was able to, despite popular belief, farm himself up a number of strong items. He kept upgrading those boots to travel as his 6th position item, and then he had gold left over for buybacks. I expect he didn't predict an hour-long game. I know I certainly didn't. But that's the way these things goes. So as always, I am Darmin, coming to you live on twitch.tv/DarminCast. For those of you who have been tuned in all night, this has been the Season 11 premiere match of the Heroic Bracket between the Wolfpack and Sanitys Eclipse. So thank you very much for tuning in. I'm going to be casting throughout this season, and I'm going to be trying to do a bunch of giveaways throughout this season's games as well, including tonight, where I asked you all to jump into the raffle with exclamation point raffle. A lot of you did. And I'm going to pull up the winner now.